could you talk about how most managers want a yes man more than anything else? I don't see how a company can thrive with just a bunch of yes men. Okay, Karen, congratulations. You have just taken your steps into a larger world. Now, I get a lot of feedback from job seekers, and it's interesting seeing the perspective of a lot of job seekers. Because when you don't know about things as a human being, you tend to fill that void with like conspiracy theories and mistrust and paranoia. This is a well-known aspect of human nature. If a company doesn't communicate to you about what's going on, what happens? Well, you start to get paranoid. Oh, there's change coming, but they won't tell you what it is. It's like, oh, that's not a good sign. Are they fixing to fire me? Maybe they're going to fire all of us. You know, that's how human beings tend to behave. In a vacuum, we tend to fill in the blanks with paranoia and suspicion and like negativity, right? So, a lot of job seekers don't understand the perspective of hiring managers. If you're the boss and you're trying to hire someone, you've never been in that position before. You don't know what it's like you have all these people that want to work for you, but you can only pick one. Sometimes you're not hiring and you can't pick any, but you can only pick one, you know, and it sucks having to turn people down. You don't enjoy that as a normal, well-adjusted human being. But, you know, the way people handle that is that they don't sort of cozy up to you just then to say no later on. That makes the negative, like the no, even more unpleasant for both parties, right? They'd rather like keep you at an arm's length and then say no later, and it's less of a big deal, right? And they have to say no to everybody except one person, ultimately, right? Okay, so one of the things that a lot of job seekers don't understand, like a lot of them do, but a big sort of point of misunderstanding is the whole like yes men thing, yes man. Now imagine this, okay? You want to hire an assistant, whatever you do, to just help you with whatever it is you do in your life. You need an assistant, and you have a little bit of money, you can hire an assistant. Now, what you've done is you've put up a job posting and you've got strangers applying, okay? Now, a lot of these strangers that you don't know, they have the qualification, they have the technical qualification to do the thing that you need done, right? And if you've ever done this kind of thing where you've hired someone, what you'll find is that there's a lot of people out there that have the technical chops that you're looking for. So it's not too much of a stretch to find someone who's qualified. So you got a lot of people that are qualified, and almost any of them would do, right? In terms of technical qualifications, right? But think of what else you're looking for. Would you want to hire someone that they're technically qualified to do the job, but when you give them something to do, they always argue with you? They say, look, I got some skills here too, and instead of just blindly obeying you like a automaton, I'm going to give you my take on this. You know, have you considered this? Maybe it'd be more efficient if you did this. The problem with what you've just asked me to do is X, because I might run into this problem. Have you considered that before telling me that you want this done, right? Now, the way it works is that, and I'm not asking you to try and visualize this in a boss. I'm asking you to picture this in your own life, okay? A lot of times, your attitude is simply like, look, this is what I want, okay? I don't want a debate. I don't want a discussion. I don't want any kind of pushback. Just please go and do what I say, right? And if every time I come up to you, I feel like I'm going to have like a sort of a minor argument or discussion on it, sorry, that's not what I'm looking for. This is supposed to make my life easier, not give me someone else to kind of argue with. You know what I'm saying? So, in the real world, you end up rejecting candidates because, let's say, on paper, they got all the technical chops, right? But in the interview, and this is like your first impression of them, you maybe ask them a question. You say like, you know, I don't know, tell me about yourself, or like whatever question. And they argue with you. They say, well, okay, well, how do you mean that? Do you mean it like this or like that? You know, and you say, well, I don't know. I mean it like it's open-ended. You can answer any way you want, but I guess I mean it this way, I suppose. And they say, okay, if you mean it like that, then, you know, are you talking about this or that? You know, because you need to specify, right? Now, is there any problem technically with doing that? No, No. But what is going on is that person is making a first impression. You don't know who this person is, but the first thing you said to them, they had a problem with. They didn't just do it. They came back at you with 2 additional questions that lengthened the whole process, that kind of put you on the spot, because you're being questioned, and it almost seems like you're not giving clear instructions when you think you are, right? So then, eventually what will happen probably is the interviewer or the manager will say, "No, I'm sorry, it just isn't a fit," right? Everybody loves that, right? And then you go away and you say, "Well, they just wanted a yes man." Now, I'm not saying that's what you're saying, but I'm saying that's a very common thing that I've seen. It's like, they just want someone to kiss their ass, and they wanted a yes man. And it's like, no, that's not what was going on there. I need an assistant. I need someone I can just say, "Here, can you go do this, please?" And they say, "Yes, sir." That's not being a yes man. That's just doing your job. You know what I mean? I got like 40 things to do. I'm asking you to do one of them for me, and I got to now deal with the other 39, right? So that's an example. I'm not saying this is exactly what happens in every case, but I'm just saying that's something that's quite common. So that's something I've heard quite a bit about, okay? So agreeableness and getting a good vibe from someone is very important. One of the number one reason that why people leave jobs is because they don't get along with people. Usually they have a jerk of a boss or something. The boss doesn't get along with them. Having that good working relationship is important. It's usually the reason why people don't work out in jobs. It's the number one reason. So when they're getting a glimpse of that right in the interview, that doesn't bode well, So hopefully that makes sense. Does that kind of answer your question? Obviously, it's a big topic. There's many different flavors of this, many different situations, scenarios, but that's kind of a very common one. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense.